Realtist Real Talk Podcast. Hello, Realtist. Thank you, and welcome to the Realtist Real Talk Podcast. I am Amber Lewis.
And I'm Pasker.
And we're excited because today we have Danny Felton, second Vice President of NAREB, Dr. Melissa Chester, the Chair of the DE&I Pillar, and Bill Pitre, the Chair of the Multigenerational Wealth Pillar. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Welcome. Welcome to Realtist Real Talk Podcast. It's going on right now.
Yes, nothing better than real talk.
All right. And Midwinter. Welcome to Midwinter.
Yes, Midwinter.
San Diego.
It's so this has been a thing. They say it's always sunny and never rains in Southern California.
Right. They lied to us, or
being from Florida, the Sunshine State, this is very disrespectful.
and for me, coming to California for the first time in my life.
Really?
And this is how they greet me? I don't understand that one.
Well, they say rain is a blessing,
What
so.
you have to understand is that when realtors come to town, we make it rain. Knowledge, dropping gems.
Okay. So, multi-generational pillar. Tell us what you have going on, because I know you all are your leaders. We have a multi-generational wealth pillar, which has programming. We have the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and then Danny, I know as second vice president, you got a lot of things in the works as well. So.
Well, I'm just glad to be here, and thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to be with I have an amazing team.
I'm sure.
They're going to share with you all of the great things that they've been doing, and I've been honored to oversee the two of the 5 pillars of the National Association of Realtors that we use to build Black wealth, and that's the strategy, And so when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, Dr. Chester, she's gonna drop give you all that information, and then we talk about the generational wealth pillar, multi-generational wealth. It's really all about a conversation.
Absolutely.
And so what we're trying to do is just stimulate the conversation at home, in our schools, and it's age-specific, life-specific. So we're talking about from the youth all the way to our seasoned individuals. So I'm just excited to be here.
Absolutely. So Dr. Melissa Chester, how about we start with you?
Okay, so as our second VP stated, I am the chair for the DE&I pillar, and it's so funny because so many people want to get involved with the pillar.
Yes.
So our pillar looks at diversity, equity, and inclusion just a little differently. We're not here to go and per se fight and say, hey, we need inclusion, we need these things. Our goal is to come from a different lens. Okay. Our goal is to make sure that you're educated and ready when those opportunities do avail themselves.
Yes.
Because what NAREB does is they're going to make sure that the opportunities are provided. They're going to open the doors. But hey, we need to make sure that you get ready. So that you stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes.
And so our goal is just to make sure that, hey, when they come calling and say, hey, we have someone for XYZ, for these different minority certifications or these different procurement opportunities, that you are ready. And so we've been doing a lot, just training our members. We've had government contracting with Miss Paula Watts. Listen, that has turned into a whole thing.
Yeah.
We've had different cohorts. We've had a cohort, I think, out west in Texas, I believe, but we now have one with Region 6. So Florida, Georgia, and Alabama, we're in a current cohort together. And we're learning all about government contracting, how to collaborate to get those government contracts. Because as Ms. Paula states, it's a lot of money out there, but we're not getting any of it. So we've also had Ms. LaBrisha Dawson, who does the REO markets. She's one of the biggest HUD contract winners in the space. And so she's come and talked to us about how do we get in that space and play in that space. And at this conference most recently, we introduced our new REO partner with Mayor Sharon and Mr. Mark Austin with PHH Holdings, and we're talking about how we're going to also already having units, right? So now here it is, you need to be ready because we have units that have been procured and we want to be able to share those with our brokers. So that's just a little bit about what we're doing. I'll stop there and we'll come back to it. But we're working. Danny has us working.
And the units that already been dropped, meaning there's REOs, distressed properties that we're going back into our communities and we buying back the block. You know what I mean? We're actually controlling the assets. We have a pilot program, like she mentioned, that we're excited, and they're looking to give us even more units that we can actually, in the communities that we're served, that we can manage those properties and put them back in the market, and hopefully put them in the hands of people that look like us.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, as realtors, our goal is to build black wealth.
Yes.
I mean, it comes from a place of advocacy, but building black wealth, it starts with us.
Yes.
And building our own wealth up. So to see that these type of opportunities are coming through this organization, through this pillar, it's a beautiful thing to see. That excites me.
Yes.
And just to your point, not only are we going to get these units as independent brokers, but there are opportunities for you to participate on the investing side.
Yes.
Why can't we go in and get those properties and renovate them and put them back to market? And so it's a phenomenal opportunity, and so excited about our leadership from our second VP and going out and getting this opportunity, bringing it to us with Mr. Alston and Mayor Sharon, who is the former mayor of Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Oh, such an advocate for NAREB. We're so thankful to have him.
That's awesome. Sure. How about you, Mr. Pitre?
Oh, gee. I tell you, Danny did something to me earlier that reminded me how this got started for me.
Okay, let's hear that.
The visit to TSU, they had a great session there. You were there, weren't you, Rob? Yeah. As a matter of fact, Rob, Danny, and I drove them back to the hotel. And
you were lucky to do that, right?
That's where they started.
We talked about the podcast.
Right. Full circle. It's all coming together. That's what's up.
And so that was like November of the year before. And then in February, March, we do Wills Trust and estate planning. We follow it up with senior living. And those two have then led to us to what I'm really excited about now is Wealthy Wednesdays. The first Wednesday of every month, we have a different subject that we're talking about. We've established Financial Wellness Year instead of just Financial Wellness Month. And so we're talking about the 12 different ways for a wealthier family. Okay, and so we started with budgeting. We went to savings. This month we're going to be talking with Freddie Mac about credit. So,
love it.
Yeah, and then we're so. Can I go ahead and tell them?
Tell them.
Ooh, I'm
excited. Don't hold back. Give it to them.
I'm
But don't forget that makes you miss that play, because you also have to play.
No. You got to play. You got to play. I mean, 'cause she's a star in the play.
Absolutely. She's phenomenal. We've seen it. So
I'm just a voice in the background, in the play, which is fine. Y'all don't even see me in the play. Just hear my voice. But that's okay. I like that way. But I'm excited about what happened yesterday. We had the largest attendance of any of the sessions was with the Multigenerational Wealth Pillar.
congratulations.
Wow.
That is phenomenal.
So that's really exciting. We had a lot of questions. Mr. Marshall did a phenomenal job of doing polls and got the responses and was able to share that information. And I can literally tell you he probably has 24 folks already ready to talk to him to review what they've already done or to help them get things started. Wow. So really excited about that conversation, which we recognize that we're going to have to continue it. We're going to have to expand it. And so that's what our plan is. We'll probably have something else with him and someone else in addition during April, which is Financial Literacy Month, Fair Housing Month, Financial Literacy. So we'll be expanding that conversation. I'm really looking forward to that.
And let me just say, it's just so encouraging to me, man, as I walk down the halls, from one session to another, and I'm approached by a Realtist member, and what we set out to do in terms of starting the conversation is actually happening. I'm hearing folks talk about, hey, you know what, I have a will, or I don't have I need to put a will in place. My family's dealing with this issue with their home, and we're talking about, creating a trust. And so as we're having these conversations here at the conference, I see the effects that is happening. So our goal, as we talk to our members, that they go back to the communities that they serve, and they have those same conversations at the family reunion, at the church meetings, at the community meetings, and get people to talk, because that's really what needs to happen. We need to start talking about, we're going to leave here at some point. We got to accept that. But as far as African Americans, our ideal of transformation of wealth, or our idea of life insurance, is to pay for the funeral.
Yeah.
Correct.
Where other individuals look at it as a term as a way of creating wealth. So what we learned yesterday with Mr. Marshall's class and learning about, wealth transformation and different types of, ways to accumulate wealth. We talked about real estate. We talked about life insurance. We talked about even family banks, something I hadn't heard about. So, it was some great nuggets, gems that was dropped for me. And hearing from the members, it's just so exciting. The best is yet to come, man. We got so much more we want to bring.
Danny gets excited when we talk about money. He broke down when we started talking about the money.
We are.
Yes.
To me, that Danny and I agreed. It's about starting conversations, because for too many times, I'll just go ahead and say, my generation didn't let the children know anything about what else was going on in the household.
Yes.
Right? We didn't have money talks. Okay. I do recall that my dad did share with us when he paid off his mortgage. He did bring us all around the dining room table and show that the deed to that house up in New Jersey was paid for. So that was a nice thing to do, to recognize that it can really happen. Okay. And so that conversation is what I'm trying to do, is to try and make sure that parents have conversations with their children. I came from the angle of saying children are actually going to teach their parents the things that we're sharing with them today. If you're that sandwich generation, all right, your parents are alive, maybe even your grandparents are alive, and you have a child, that's what this pillar is about.
Okay.
The multi-generational. Yes. I have to try and I'm trying to develop it so that there's a conversation that I have with the youth at their level. There's a conversation I have with their parents and with their parents' parents. And that's where the play came in. The play really set it up to show the multi-generational aspect. The son who was big man on campus calling his dad saying, okay, yeah, we now need to have that conversation. So how do we start the conversation? And in April, my committee is putting together a tip for financial education, for Financial Literacy Month. There's going to be a tip every day, just like we did for Black History Month. We had a different tip. We're going to be pushing out tips around finances, geared towards having conversation at the dinner table. That's what we need to do, have more conversations. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but you need to hear where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
And go ahead.
No, and let me just share this. Mr. Pitre's touched on it. Doc's touched on it as well. It's about this play. Doc's going to talk about it, but I just want to say I'm just excited when we go into these HBCUs, and have the conversations where, we take it for granted that some of these, these students just don't know. They just don't understand credit. They don't understand the impact that student loan debt has on them. They don't understand when he talks about multi-generational. Well, we're not just talking about generational, but we're talking about multi-generational, meaning for them, their children and their children's children. And so having those conversations at the HBCU is something that is, we're traveling. We're going to Perry View this year. We're going to the AAU's Atlanta Center. We're going to Florida Memorial College. We're going to Southern University. So we coming to a college near you. So stay tuned, right? Because Doc, listen, she's going to tell you about the play, but the play sets it all up to start this conversation so we can really start talking about money. I like you said it earlier. Money talks, right?
Money talks. Yeah. Before we talk about the play, just to Bill's point, here it is. We're learning all of this great information. So how Danny has these pillars set up is perfect. Here it is. We're going to provide you those opportunities to make more money as a realtist. We didn't talk about the appraisal partnership we have with NAREB. Now they're helping you to become an appraiser, right? And that's huge. Here it is. We're providing these government contracting, etc. And so once you're making more money, realtors, now we're having those conversations. What do you do with that money?
So to her point, one of the things I was talking to someone about just the other day was that we don't necessarily have a problem with our credit. We have a problem with our income. Okay? Our credit problems are because our incomes are too low for what we've been spending on. Now, with what Doc is going to help us present, we're going to have additional income streams, which will help resolve the credit issues that we may have acquired over time. So they all work hand in hand.
Yes.
You know, so I mean,
Yes.
bread and income, you know, so that, you know,
It's very simple.
Danny likes to see the money show.
Yes.
Money
Yeah.
talks.
Money talks.
Money talks. I got that.
If they don't get anything else from today, we know that money talks.
And we know that's so important. And so, with that being said, the play,
Yes.
part of DE&I and multi-generational wealth, of course, is to get our young people involved.
Absolutely.
Right? How we're going to have more diversity, equity, and inclusion is to start them earlier.
Yeah.
Let them know how to come into the game sooner. Because we know that if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. Right?
True.
And so what we're doing is getting people at the table earlier. And so the play is one additional way that we do that as well.
Yeah.
And that play is phenomenal. It was written and produced by our very own Danny Felton. You know, that's his baby, but Bill to keep it, pass it on. You know, he's a little Tyler Perry in the making. Right, so and he did his own casting for his movie. You know,
I know who the star is,
Natural, right?
And so we have this phenomenal play about collegiates who are on campus for the first time, and they each come from different backgrounds when it comes to money and generational wealth. And just to see that play in action and hear those conversations, the young adults, they don't want to be called youth, the young adults who have seen it are really impacted by it. They love it, and it does just what Danny's goal was and Mr. Pitre's goal was, is to get the conversation started. And it is so phenomenal. We are looking forward to taking it all across the country and sharing that. We also had the opportunity to participate with United Negro College Fund. So we've now started sharing with them what's going on. They do Empower Me tours, and they go and talk to college students and potential HBCU attendees, and they're also collaborating with DE&I in multi-generational wealth and faith-based community. And so we're all together doing those things and making sure that that information is getting out to as many of our young people as possible.
Yeah. We want to change the narrative. I mean, when we talk about, you know, homeownership, we don't want the kid in school, because they've gone through the 2008 crisis where they saw their parents
have a
lose their
distaste
home,
for it.
have a distasteful situation, or feel like they're tethered to a 30-year mortgage, you know, because, you know, they're in Caicos and all over the world, and they don't want to be stuck down. But I get it. But we want to have that conversation, say, hey, what have you thought about an investment? Have you thought about Airbnb?
Absolutely.
Have you thought about fractional ownership? These are all tools that we can consider when we look at home ownership versus looking at being strapped to a property, but make that property turn around and create wealth for you, and you don't have to be there. Somebody else can pay for it. You know, and they can create this multi-generational wealth vehicle that can be transferred to the next generation.
Yeah, we have to dispel that myth that, you know, oh, we don't need to own properties anymore. We know that ownership is the first step to generational wealth. And so we have to make sure they understand that if it's not, they're going to live there for 30 years. And okay, you can still own it for 30 years.
Absolutely.
You know, and you can, like you said, Danny, Airbnb, you can do different things with it. And so we are
So many
excited about
opportunities.
making, too many that we have to make sure they know about. As Bill was stating, you know, our parents didn't have those conversations with us. And so now here we are having children, and many of us aren't having the conversations with them. And so our kids are financially ignorant, right? And so we got to make sure we're fixing that.
Well, one of the strategies that people are going to hear more about soon is the parents purchasing a house where that student is going to school, so that they're, just like in the play, there's an opportunity for the student to learn about property management, to learn about that aspect of it. But more importantly, they've got cash flow because their classmates are renting rooms from them, and, you know, in that property. And that starts part of that generational wealth. And a nice thing that can happen is, as they graduate, their parents' generational wealth is increased because they can sell it to the next parent who needs their student to be on campus in their own property and grow that wealth that way. Or if they're going to be active in that alumni association, they're going to hold on to that property, and even with their student not there anymore, hire a realtist to manage it from their local area and move it that way. So a lot of opportunities for us to be able to share that type of information.
I think a lot of what I'm hearing too is not just having a plan, but being intentional and how you execute the plan. Also, I think, it's a great juxtaposition of what I'm hearing, because everybody within NAREB in some facet also is a business owner or entrepreneur of some sort. And when we're talking about normalizing the conversations of generational wealth and how do you have wealth creation such, it's as easy as bring your child with you to the closing table and explain to them, what does this mean for us? What does this mean for your future? Or when you're paying the bills at your office, what does it mean that I'm paying the lights and the gas and, all of those other fixed expenses that I have? But we start to have those conversations, not just at the dinner table, but in every aspect of our life. And it starts to have a theme through it, and it just becomes normal like anything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah. Spot on.
Normalizing it. That was a great word. Because most times we hear about it, it's like a one-off. Like, oh, that was really neat. But we want that to be normal. We want that to be the consensus. Yes. Love that. Yes.
Absolutely. It's a lifestyle for us, but it starts with the conversation. So I've just heard about a lot of different programming. So for the members, how can the members tap into what you have going on with your pillars?
Well, I mean, we, as Mr. Pitre stated earlier, we have this money talk, every first Wednesday at 1:00. They can join us and we have a wealthy conversation, and so with those wealthy conversations, we have a menu of programs that we're going to be talking about throughout the year. And so as you sit in, and you're going to gain information from industry professionals that's going to share with you about how to start that conversation at home. So that's one of the ways that you can join us as well, is we're going to be traveling around, the HBCUs.
Yes. Coming to a city near you, right?
Coming to a city near you. Not only that, we have Realtist Week coming up. Realtist Week, we're looking at doing community days. So we're going out in the communities that we're in, local chapters, we're passing the word, because this is not just keeping it and building it, but it's also about passing it on. So we're actually putting it in a way that it can be duplicated in the markets that we have chapters, so they can go and get in their commission meeting and become that industry professional to talk about, hey, when we talk about issues that relate to housing, I'm the expert. You need to come and talk to me about it. So, I mean, we're putting the word out. We're equipping our members so they can go out and equip their communities to go out and then make a change and empower the surroundings that, or should I say, where they're placed in terms of neighborhoods.
And I did forget to mention that we have an every other month. DE&I has a Zoom every other month. It is the third Thursday, I believe it is. I need to check. So much on my schedule. I'll make sure I confirm that. But we bring someone as well. We've done wills and trusts, like you stated. We're going to be talking about joining on boards and commissions on next month. And so we also have every other month. And we have an email that I'll make sure that we share as well. That if they have ideas, things they want to see, questions, they can definitely, we both have an email, the DE&I email at NAREB, as well as the Multigenerational Wealth at NAREB.
Mine's real easy, mgwealthinfo@NAREB.
Perfect.
We push forward with that so that they would have an opportunity to say what's on their mind. And then that way, if we didn't have it scheduled, we can then do the research necessary. You get enough people that are interested in knowing more about a particular topic, that just tells us that we need to share that information. So we go research and then share it, find the right person to share it with them. So
I think, a part of what we're hearing today too is a paradigm shift in the way that we think about things. And I really love what you're saying, specifically, Second Vice President, because when you talk about pass it on, there was something really poignant that you said earlier in the conversation when you said buying back the block. But there's a concept there that we don't have to buy back the block if we never sold grandma's house in the first place. And how do we actually change that? And I think that's a part of what you're talking about through everything. So I think this is something that is phenomenal. I think this is life-changing. And I think we're excited for the future. So to our audience that's listening today, is there any call to action that either one of you would like to share for them?
You just triggered something, and I could go on and on. And so I was at a meeting last week, and one of the things we talked about was we don't have to worry about gentrification if we own it.
Absolutely.
And that resonated with me. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about them coming in and changing the color of our neighborhoods when we own it.
Absolutely.
You can't buy it. I'm not for sale. We don't sell black folks, and so I love that. Don't buy. I mean, you hit it right on point, and that just took me back. So yes.
That made me think about a book I'm reading. The book is called, You Don't Have to Leave Your Neighborhood to Have a Better One. That was written. She's powerful. Oh, it's a black author. I'll get the name of it for you all. No, it's her. And this book is so well written. I'm going to make sure I share it with you all. But just what you just said, Dan, and she's like, hey, you guys don't have to leave your neighborhoods to have a better one. And she's talking about being intentional about the spaces and places that we create. And to your point, I mean, let's stop allowing, we can regentrify our own areas, right, with our own people. And so super, super excited about the work that we're all doing.
I like that.
Thank you, Danny, for allowing me to be the leader of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And
I thank him every night. I thank him every night because it's helped me grow.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm an introvert. But these folks here help pull me out. I am a natural introvert, okay? Yeah. But this organization has helped me grow to another level. Yeah. And I thank the organization for bringing that part of me out. We keep hearing people say, what are you... let your light shine, or what gift are you holding back from the rest of the world? And I guess I had some gifts. I was just always playing in the background. I'd support anybody and help everybody, but I'm finding out there's some things that need to come from my voice.
Yes, so, that's awesome.
And I just thank Danny for giving me this opportunity. NAREB and Danny.
I wish we could drop the mic, but I don't
we appreciate the work that you all are doing because it's helping us as realtors build our businesses. It's putting more money in our pockets, but it's also helping us build our communities as well. Get this information out that we can share and people can share with their families. So thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for all three of you.
Yes, exactly. And before we leave, the email is diversity-equity-inclusion@nareb.com.
Say it again.
Diversity-equity-inclusion@nareb.com.
There it is.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.